Neemias Queta is changing things, but how much? Plus, the Celtics didn't seem ready to face the Warriors. Does that matter? We'll talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and Jace, how we started, raising business, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, and I got you every Monday through Friday, plus a bonus podcast when they play on the weekend. So Celtics, Nets, Friday night, post-game podcast there, so you have something to listen to on a Saturday. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast, watch the show on YouTube, and hop into that comment section. It's a cool place to be, plenty of people talking Celtics, and pretty actually nice comment section. All things considered, one of the best on the internet, probably. So join me and your fellow Celtics fans there. I'm John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics for about 20 years, doing it now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal and as the author of Built Different, one of the 2 Celtics books that I've written. Both of them are available on johnkaralis.com. $30, personalized, signed, sent to wherever you are in the United States. Very easy. Go check that out there. Buy it as a gift. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app today, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, and win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Today, we'll get into the Celtics. I feel like this Warriors game was the first real one team was out for the statement, bringing it against the champs, and the champs were there like, yep, Wednesday in November. What do you guys got going? Oh, damn, you're punching us in the face. So we'll talk about that concept in a little bit. But we got to start with our guy, Neemias Queta, and we got to start with Neemias Queta.
Oof.
No.
Oof.
No.
Yeah, no, that's
that one. That's a good one.
I don't. Yeah, that might be.
It's the end of the one.
That might be the end of the line.
That's it. Yeah.
Getting there. Yeah.
That's it. Tough. I'm done with it. I'm out. I'm out of them.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's gonna happen, right? It's like at some point, the salary cap comes, the second apron comes for the Tom puns, and it's tough.
You got to take what the defense gives you.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, if I'm gonna tell Jayson Tatum to stop forcing shots, I got to look at myself and be like, stop forcing puns.
Yeah.
It's over.
Man. Yeah. You hate to see it, but
the problem is the everyday podcast. It just, I can't space it all out. But
82 game season, everyday podcast. It's eventually it gets to be too much.
Neemias Queta has been pretty good, but let me just start with this, because I guess my job nowadays is to pee on parades. Can we stop with it's Robert Williams 2.0? Can we please? We don't have to do this. We don't have to make it like that. We can just say that Neemias Queta is good. It doesn't do him any justice, because he's not Rob. They don't play the same game. They're not the same kind of player. They're just big centers. Rob was much different, much more athletic, and it just played a different style, a different way, I think. So I just don't want to do that. I just want to make Neemi.
Yeah. Well, look, and I mean, I think the reason it's an easy comp, right, is just literally the length and the athleticism. And like, Celtics haven't had a vertical spacing guy like that since Rob.
Sure.
So that's like where that comes from. But it's like, if you start making that comparison in any kind of earnest that goes beyond, hey, these guys can both catch lobs, these guys can both block shots, that's where you start to do Neemi a disservice, because like, I mean, Rob was a really kind of smart passer and everything. Like, there was a lot of really cool stuff going on in his game. A lot of cool stuff going on in Neemi's game too, but if you ask him to kind of fulfill like healthy Rob Williams the ceiling was so high for that guy.
Yes.
And like I don't know, that's asking a lot of a guy who just started his second game and
Right.
did it as a result of injuries. Like that's
right.
asking a lot of him.
Rob was 6'9" and
Yeah.
an athletic freak.
Yeah.
Right. Neemi's 7 feet tall, and there are some of these dunks where he's just barely getting over the rim. Like he can jump, but like if he doesn't, like Rob can like sneeze and jump 30 inches. You know what I'm saying? Like Neemi goes up and like he dunks on people. It's like, okay, it's not the same. I just, only because I want to do these guys justice, because Neemi actually has been playing well, but also, again, this is a lot of excitement. People are very happy about this. This is what expectations are. To me, the Neemias Queta phenomenon right now is we had no expectations. And look at what he's doing.
Yeah.
Luke Cornett, we had expectations, and he's doing some of the same stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not exact. It's not as much of the same stuff. And it's like, oh God, he's unplayable. You know, because we sat here and made the argument like maybe Cornett should start over Horford. No one said Neemi should start over Horford.
Right.
But the expectation is there. Like, Queta will get in when he gets in, and he'll provide some rim protection, all that stuff. And now, boom, he's exceeded expectations. So I want to give him the proper credit while also making sure that people understand, like, hey, he's not always going to have these great moments. In fact, in the Hawks game where he started? Yeah, he started the Hawks game.
Yeah.
And he had to get pulled.
Mazzulla was like, nope. Like,
that's right.
Literally.
Like he pulled him early so he could be like, okay, we're resetting. You're doing a bunch of things wrong. Now go back in and do them right.
Yeah.
Into his
stop messing up. All right, get back in.
Right. So like there's gonna be that. This is just, I'm laying out a lot of different arguments here before we even get into the basketball thing. This is screaming to me, build somebody up to tear him down. And I don't want that for this, because when you're saying there's no expectations and then everybody's like, whoa, I love the guy. Okay, great. He's doing well. Love the guy. But now the Rob 2.0 and all the other stuff, I just want to caution people. All of a sudden, everything's going to get out, and people on the outside, like the Felger and Maz, is going to be like, oh, okay, I hear all this stuff about Neemias Queta. Let's just see what this guy's all about. And you're going to watch him and be like, yeah, he makes a bunch of mistakes out there. I don't see what the big deal is with this guy. Like, no, he does make a bunch of mistakes out there, but he brings energy, and he does a few things well, and he protects the rim well. And he's much more switchable than I thought he was going to be. Like, the positive stuff outweighs the negative. And I'm just afraid that people are going to be like, the perception is going to be that he does so much positive that there is no negative.
Right. For sure. And I think when you talk about like, oh, I don't get what the big deal is with this guy. The big deal with this guy is that he was a two-way guy, right? Like, this was not a guy who was expected to be, who like earned his spot as not a two-way guy. That's awesome. Like, that's really cool on a championship level team, right? Like, that's sick. He's done a lot of really good stuff. Yesterday, he switched somewhat competently onto Steph Curry. Like, he did some really decent stuff, but like, you got to be a little careful, like, to your point, right? Because it's like, if you start saying like, oh, like this is the guy who switched on to Steph Curry and defended him, it's like, he's not, that happened and he did it great. But like, if the Celtics got to the finals and found themselves facing the Warriors, and their big strategy for it was like, well, Queta switched on to Steph a couple of times, so like, we're good now. It's like, no, you're gonna get cooked. That's not, like, you take the good and you say like, okay, there's stuff to build on here, and hopefully he continues to build on it. It sounds like he's got a good head on his shoulders. Joe Mazzulla seems to appreciate how coachable he is, how much he's working, and clearly he's working a lot, because like, again, he went from two-way slot to starting some games in a replacement role on the world champion Boston Celtics. Like, that's awesome. But to your point, like, hey, great job, man. You're doing great. Don't change anything. Like, Celtics fans, like, don't change the way you're talking about him. He's doing well.
Yeah.
This is okay. But that's a nice place to kind of leave it. Wow.
Yeah.
Good job, Neemi.
Good job, Neemi.
Genuinely.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Genuinely good work.
Yes.
Let's come back with more Neemi stuff, because there was stuff that he did wrong, and there was stuff that he did right, and you can kind of see him learn. There's one play in particular that I saw him screw up and give up an offensive rebound, and then all of a sudden, the next time down, or it's one of the next time down, he recovered, and it ended up he got a dunk out of it. We'll talk about that, his learning process, all that stuff when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the place to go to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. You can go ahead and use Prize Picks because they've made daily fantasy sports accessible to everybody. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. That's pretty good. Your game all season long on Prize Picks. So it's the best way to get your action on sports. It works in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. It's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. So your lineups stay in play, even if one of your players gets injured. If that player leaves in the first half and doesn't come back, Prize Picks keeps your lineup alive. They invented flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect, and you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. It seems like Prize Picks really wants to give you money. So go and sign up. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. So download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, and you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Check out our newsletter. It's at LockedOnDaily.com. LockedOnDaily.com. You click on that Locked On Celtics logo. You get a newsletter free, delivered to your inbox every Monday through Friday. Celtics story, NBA story, fantasy story. Just gets you. It's an easy way to get caught up with everything all in one place. So go check out the Locked On Celtics newsletter there at LockedOnDaily.com. Let's get back to Tom Westerholm here. So Queta, look, he like I said before, is more switchable than I thought he was going to be. They use him against Steph. He did get burned. Like, Steph did get a layup off of Queta. Like, that's going to happen. But he also...
And maybe we won't hold it against a guy if Steph Curry gets a bucket on him.
I'm just going to say, yeah, it's going to happen. Sometimes people cannot stop Steph Curry. So I'm told.
A moral failing on their part, but
it's If
you were out there, we would know how.
I would. I mean, I don't understand what's so hard about the guy's so small. I don't get it.
Well, a little guy.
I don't get. He's a little guy.
A little guy.
You know. Just yeah. So he had his issues there sometimes. But also, man, he is figuring things out. So there was a play late in the game, and it was a costly play because I forget who was driving. I think it was on Derek White driving to the right, and it was either Derek White or Drew Holiday. Either way, the play was covered, right? And as a big, you got to have, like, I called it like a Hassan Whiteside play because he's one of my least favorite players of all time, and everybody understands that Hassan Whiteside was chasing every block in the world and would leave his guy to go chase the block. And why it was a very Hassan Whiteside play is because that's what he did. He left Draymond Green, and he was like, okay, I'm going to come over on the help and try to block this shot, which I think was just not for his own personal stats. He's just trying to defend, right?
Yeah,
so that makes it a very un-Hassan Whiteside. Like, I feel like I don't want to put that stink on Queta, but the effect is the same.
Yeah, you're doing the opposite of what we were talking about in the first segment. You're really like, no, this he's Hassan Whiteside. Like,
yeah, right. But what he did was he left Draymond Green, and it was an easy putback.
Yeah,
and I don't know if he got a talking to from somebody on the court or somebody from the bench, but the message is, as a big, you got to understand that play is covered. It's a contested shot. It's a difficult shot. If it goes in, it goes in. But what you don't want to do is have it miss because it's more likely to miss, and then you're out of position, which is exactly what happened. Now, there was another play 2-3 possessions later where there was a drive on the left baseline. That was against Derek White. He stayed home. Queta stayed home, boxed out. Another guard came in because of the box out and got the ball where Nemi cleared his guy out. They got out into transition. Nemi ends up getting a dunk out of it. Learning on the fly, like that type of thing, shows you that he is processing the game in real time. So that's a very good sign. I don't care, and this is a very common for I don't care when somebody makes a mistake. I care when people repeat the mistakes. Yeah. And he didn't repeat that mistake, and it was in a clutch situation in an NBA game that he figured it out, or even if somebody told it to him and he processed it, it was like, yep, got it. That is important, and I think that kind of real-time growth is part of what makes Queta a viable option, I think, for them moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes him a guy that Joe Mazzulla would be interested in playing, right? Because like if you're making tons of mistakes and like Mazzulla, I don't think Mazzulla would have a lot of patience for that. So it's like, yeah, if you make a mistake and then come back and do it right the second time, that's the kind of thing that like Mazzulla's gonna be like, okay, like I can use a guy like that, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think one of the plays that really stood out to me was there was that one. I think he got a dunk off it, but it was in the second half. He set like 4 screens on the same play before he flew down the lane and got a dunk, like that kind of stuff too, where it's just you see him processing things, you see him kind of learning and making mistakes, but I think throughout all that, right, you see him genuinely trying and genuinely making a positive impact and looking to make a positive impact for other players. Like he got the dunk, but he put everybody else in a position to try to do something first. Yeah, that's obviously as a young big on a team like this, that's going to be your role. But the fact that he's like, okay, this is my role. I'm setting screens. I'm setting. Woo, I got one. Bang. Like that's, that's sick. That's awesome that you get to do that. But it's great to see him kind of flying around and doing all that extra stuff for everybody else as he's learning and growing and processing.
Yeah. So he is athletic, and he's able to move better laterally. Like I said, like I think that's maybe an improvement from last year. He's able to move his feet pretty well for a 7-footer.
He looks huge out there, dude. Like
he's a big dude.
Yeah,
he's big. Like it's he's a legit 7-footer.
Like he's definitely 7 feet. He also does he have like is his head big? Like he just looks like I
think he does have like a big dome. And I think he maybe does his hair in a way that accentuates it, maybe. And
then his arm, he's got a crazy wingspan.
He's got that's what Joe said the other day. He's like,
like
9 foot wingspan. So good at the 9-foot wingspan. You're like, oh yeah, like he's a big, he's big.
And then you sit there and think to yourself, like, it's not 9 feet, right? Right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it could be. Well, I mean, it's supposed to be where like, if you stand and you hold your arms way out, like to the side, that is supposed to match your height.
Yeah.
I'm 6'5", so if I stand and put my like from fingertip to fingertip, that's supposed to be 6 foot 5 inches. And mine is like, I'm a plus. I'm like 6'9" or 6'10".
Yeah.
So if you go another,
on all the draft evals, they'll have like the +4 if you're 6'5", and I'm a perfect square. I hate it. I'm precise.
Yeah. Shopping for shirts is not the easiest thing for me. No. But anyway, like I can see Queta, like there are guys like Mo Bamba that you can see it. Like that dude needs like 3 elbows for how long his arms are. Like that. So Queta kind of has like that going on. I can see him reaching out and being like, that could be like almost 9 feet.
I think that would be an NBA record, though, right? Like Taco Fall wasn't 9 feet. Like
I don't know. Yeah. So, but whatever it is, it's big. And so, like Sean Grandy put out a tweet talking about the Celtics defensive rating. That with Queta on the court, it's 95.4, and with him off the court, it's 113.6. Having him there as a rim defender. Like that is as he's working things out. I think it's clear, and we're going to use this to transition into the next part of this conversation. I don't think the Celtics perimeter defense is as locked in as it normally is. I don't think that they're fully engaged at the moment, which means having Queta back there might be more important. Like it might not even be like Luke Cornett's fault necessarily. It's just that, hey, Drew's kind of like working his way into the season, and the perimeter guys, it's like there's some good defense, but sometimes it's just like,
Yeah.
And so we need an eraser back there, and Kate is the best eraser they got. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the effort, and specifically with the Warriors game, but generally speaking, when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Skims. I am a boxer brief guy. Boxer briefs are very popular. And when I got the word that Skims is coming on board, I tell you, my wife was pretty happy because she's like, "Oh, do I get free stuff?" I'm like, "No, this is because Skims is doing stuff for men now." She has spent enough money on Skims where I was probably due a couple of free things. So it was great to get a couple of their stretch boxer briefs. And I got to tell you, I got a couple of them and I am very excited. It's the type of underwear that after it goes through the wash and I'm folding things, that goes on the top of the pile because I actually cannot wait to wear those again. They're very comfortable. They feel good. When I go to the gym, they're not riding up on me, which is a very important thing to me. Like, you don't want to be the guy walking around like, oh yeah, big tough guy with your, the gloves on and everything, and you're just like pulling at your shorts because everybody's like, oh God, dude, come on, man. We don't want to see this. So this is a very comfortable underwear that I've really enjoyed, and now I'm a little upset that I've got only two. I'm gonna have to go and buy more. They only gave me two. Now I'm gonna become a Skims shopper because I know that they're that good. You can shop Skims men's at skims.com. Let them know we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Very important. Let them know. And if you're looking for perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. It's all available at skims.com. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Check out Locked On NBA. I'm there on Fridays, so that means I am recording tonight. We're recording Locked On Celtics before the games. I'm going to be watching. There's 3 NBA games on tonight, all at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to have like the multi-view. I'm going to be paying attention to all of them. And then Jake Madison and I will be talking about those games, the other big stories in the NBA. So make sure you're checking that out. Keep up with Locked On NBA at night, and then during the day, you've got like a 3-person kind of debate show going on. We're adding more content there. So check out Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts. So, Tom, we talked about before how the Celtics need Queta because he can block shots and be a deterrent. Because I'm not sure that November basketball is like the Celtics aren't. It's not that they're not trying. I just don't think that they're hitting another gear.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And I think that might be the best way to put it. And the Warriors game stood out because not that the Warriors just came out and played so hard to start the game. It was impressive. It's that the Celtics, it took till halftime for them to kind of like figure it out. I think they were just like, my take was the Celtics are a team that invites those double teams. So they're like, oh yeah, double teams. Okay, great. Yep. We're going to invite, come on, we'll draw you out to half court. And they're like, we'll join you at half court very enthusiastically. And they're like, oh damn, that's the half court line. What do I do now? So it wasn't like November kind of speed. The Warriors are playing at a higher speed and the Celtics was just like, I don't know what to do with this, man. I don't know if that was your take. we kind of touched on that before the season started. How do you feel about the Celtics maybe not giving it that little extra when they know the competition is coming in with a little extra?
So I think it's like you would I mean, if you're watching the game, you're like, well, I would like to see them, come out with that same level of fire, right? You would
Match it.
Of course you would like to see them match it, right? Makes sense. I think if you think about it though, for like more than a couple seconds, it's kind of like predictable, right? Like,
Of course.
how could you come out with the same intensity? Of course, this Celtics team wasn't going to look like the Celtics team that we most recently saw, right? You know that coming in that this is going to look a little different. So then, you kind of see it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you look at like, hey, this team is, has 2 losses so far this season. They're doing great. Like they're not, they're not the undefeated Cavs. They don't need to be the undefeated Cavs. The Cavs have a lot of stuff to play for, right? Like the Cavs are really trying to prove some things. And, I hope it doesn't come across like I'm dissing the Cavs. Like they're not the Cavs are proving things, and that's very impressive, and that shows that they're a contender. But we already know the Celtics are a contender. We already know how good this team can be. They already know how good this team can be. And by the way, the Warriors know how good this team can be, and that's why they came out with their tails on fire, just like let's play as hard as we can. Let's prove a point. Point proven. The Warriors are also really good. Like I think that you come away from this and it's like, hey, early going, we'll see how everything develops. But like if the playoffs started now, you'd look at that Warriors team and be like, hey, this is a contender. Like this is as good as this defense is nasty. Steph Curry remains Steph Curry. Still at this stage, which is awesome. Like he's like a game breaking type star. They added the shooting around him. They got the length around him. They got the defense. Like this has a lot of the hallmarks of a genuine contender. So when you see a team that's trying to prove, hey, I'm a genuine contender against a team that doesn't need to really prove anything at this current early young stage of the season, it's like, I don't think it matters. Like, I think it's like, sure, like, I think especially, Joe Mazzulla, I'm sure, like, hey, like we got to prove everything all the time. But like in the grand scheme of things, no, I mean, it makes sense to me. And, I guess kind of call me when it's April. I don't know.
Those are all really good points. Like the Cavs, they had like Darius Garland came back after a summer where it wasn't clear if he would.
Yeah.
Right. Like the whole thing. Oh, Donovan Mitchell's coming back. Oh, damn. That means Darius Garland is gone. And like, no. Okay. So they got to prove that backcourt really works.
Yeah.
The Celtics came out last season with that same, we've got to prove something.
Yes.
Right. That's what the Celtics did last season. They're like, we got to prove after that Miami debacle that we are capable, that we have changed. We are working. We're sacrificing. We're working together because we're sacrificing and we're covering each other's backs. Like that's all. Porzingis had something to prove and he was there. He's not there right now. There's a lot that was happening that's happening now on other teams. So it does make sense. And before the season started, Jayson Tatum even said, like, and human nature is a very a buzzword with these guys. He's like, we're gonna have to fight human nature sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think this was a human nature game that it took 24 minutes to get there, and then at the end, they still didn't have the wherewithal, the focus to be like, oh, we got to box out. They still made mistakes. Queta made a couple of those mistakes, but I'm just saying, it's not a concern at the moment. The only thing that we got to throw out there is the habit and the question of, are you playing with fire if you're going to be we'll flip a switch team? I don't think they're a flip a switch team right now, but that Warriors game stood out as a very stark. It's the most stark I've seen, but the difference between the Celtics and the other team. If that becomes the norm, then you start going down the, well, we still need to see like something from beginning to end.
Yeah.
They can go out Friday night against the Nets and, pillar to post, beat them by 40 and be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Jaylen Brown is out for that, by the way. But I don't know. It's just, you know how it is. We're talking every day. So it's like, well, okay, yeah, I just want to, it's not a big deal. Not a big deal. I just want to verbalize that we don't want this to become a habit.
Well, and to your point, it's right. We're talking every day. So it's like every day you're going to kind of document the things that happened. And what happened yesterday when we're recording this is that the Celtics didn't totally look like themselves in the first half against a genuine contending team. And then they did look pretty good in the second half, which makes you think like, okay, I don't necessarily feel like they had it in the first half. So it's like you kind of take that moment in time and you put a bookmark in it and you say, this is what happened that day. Like, if that doesn't continue, if for the next couple of weeks they're just, you know, kicking the crap out of people and then they drop a game down the line and it's like, you know, like that's their third loss and it's just, then it's no big deal. It's like, yeah, this stuff happens. You're going to excuse it on the year after a championship and that's fine. If this happens more often, then you start to be like, okay, so what are we looking at here? Like, what's going on? Is there something wrong? Yada, yada. But we are so far from that point. And I think that's what we're both kind of saying here. It's like, we are far from that point of being concerned about it. It's just kind of like the day after a loss, you're kind of like, okay, here's what happens. Doesn't look like a trend yet, but we've noted it. And like, you know, for posterity, it's here. And if we need to come back to this point and reference it again, there was this loss in very early November when the Celtics just kind of didn't have it in the first half.
It's a data
noted. It's a data point. Exactly.
Data point. It's a pin in the wall. Now the question is, are we spinning some yarn around it, connecting it to the pin, or is it just a pin that just stays in the wall? That's all. But
if you're a doomer, then you are Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, going like, there was this point, and then there was this point. Yeah.
Carol, there is no Carol in HR. Anyway. I love that episode so much. Not only do all of these people exist, they're all wondering where their mail is. All right. I got to go watch that show now.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. Appreciate you having you on as always.
Appreciate you, man.
And I always appreciate having you, the listener, here with me, with Tom, with all of us. We are pun free for Tom's name from now on. Sorry. But I would love to have you stick around anyway. I know that's the only reason people were watching this show and listening to this show. But if you have it in your heart to give us a chance with the basketball knowledge, I'm sure we can prove that we know what we're talking about. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast, watch the show on YouTube, get into that comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. And I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.